Lord of the Rings SPG team. I just realized when I was watching my last video, I wiggle around a lot because I'm in a spinny chair. So I'll try to limit that so I don't make you guys dizzy. I switched to my cell phone, so just to do these showcase videos, it's a little bit easier to show stuff. This is my 5th video, I think. We're going to call this Forays in Middle-earth number 5, I think. I'm not sure. I'll have to see how Joe decides to number them when he uploads them to the channel. My last video, I showcased 2 armies. I did Gondor and Moria. Those are 2 of my bigger ones right now. But I wanted to go ahead and do a little bit more showcasing of just my painted stuff, just to get you guys some content. So it's fun to look at other people's armies and models and things like that. And I have some somewhat older stuff that some people may not have seen. I actually don't own any Hobbit models. I did at one point, but I sold them a long time ago. So today I'm going to go over my, show off my Isengard Hunters list, or army, if you will. And I have a full Isengard army that's in a box. It's already assembled. Part of it's primed. I have a troll, a bunch of stuff. It's just not painted. But I do have scouts and warg riders and some heroes, which make a really nice, round, even 800-point army. And it looks great on the table, and it's really fast. So I'll show you that shortly, and then I'll go through and probably look at the Fellowship, some of the Fellowship members. I have some elves and things like that I'll show. Just some odds and ends that I have. I'll just kind of set those up and show them off, I guess. My painting's not the best in the world, but it's pretty decent, I think, and just something for you to watch while you paint and listen to somebody talk. So, again, thanks for watching, and I'll be right back with those models. Back with my Isengard Hunters army arrayed on the table in front of me. You can see there's a lot of warg riders back there. I think it comes out to... let's see, I've got 18 plastics, 5 of the metal guys, and then Sharku. So that's 24 wargs if you include Sharku, who I still need the foot model for. This was purely done just because I finished painting the scouts, and then I recently finished painting the warg riders. So I just added it all up, and it came out to right around 800 points. It's not arrayed as the army would be into warbands, but I just made it look nice. But if you can see, I got a mixture of, I got a dozen of the plastic scouts and then a bunch of the metal ones that were released way back with Fellowship of the Ring. You got several of them in the Ambush and Amon Hen, or Attack and Amon Hen box, and they're really nice models. You can see right there's one without the helmet there. But I love Uruk-hai Scouts. I think they're awesome models. They play really, really interestingly, especially if you take them as Maher's Marauders. Here we've got Lurtz, one of these sculpts of Lurtz. Over there's the other one. I usually just use him as Maher since I don't have the model yet. He also makes a good captain. I do not have the one where his arms extended shooting the bow. I wish I did. Then Vrasku, who is of course an Uruk-hai Scout, despite having a crossbow which he can't move and shoot with, so how he's supposed to keep up. And then of course Ugluk, who takes over the raiding party after Lurtz is killed by Aragorn. If you look on the wings here, I also have the Uruk-hai with hobbits. Turn them around and maybe give you a look at poor little Pippin there. And I use these as banners. I was going to convert a banner with an extra Lurtz I had, but the pose isn't great for a banner. So I just decided, I read online somewhere a guy had done this, so I decided to copy him. And it actually makes a lot of sense. You know, the Uruk-hai would flock to the guys carrying the hostages, as that's their orders, you know. And they also look really cool on the table, so and they fit in really well. So that's the Uruk Scouts. I'm going to get another sprue of these at some point to round out to a full 24, so I can continue eventually playing through the journey book scenarios. I'd need a full 24, and right now I only have about, I think it's like 18 or 19. Moving on to the Warg Riders, I do have a mixture of plastic and metal. I love the metal models. They're awesome. Fortunately, all you could ever get was bows or guys with throwing spears. And you can actually see, let me get right above, you can see the difference, how much more slender the metal wargs are versus the plastic ones. They just look more anatomically correct. There's a lot more detail to them. I didn't spend a whole lot of time on these just because I didn't I just wasn't in the mood to paint them, really. There's too much detail on them for like a regular line troop. But again, these are using the wards you saw from my Moria army last video. And so, you know, I already covered how I painted these. And I speed painted these Warg Riders. I basically left them on the sprue, spray painted them brown, dry brushed the entire model with graveyard earth and a little bit of bleached bone. Some of them got gray on like their fur and stuff, the rider's fur. And then the metal was just chainmail, and the skin was, I think, vomit brown with a flesh wash of some sort. And you can see I have a whole bunch of the throwing spears, which is unfortunate because throwing spears is actually one of the worst things to give them, because they can't keep it if they're dismounted, and their shooting is terrible. So then of course there's old Sharku right there in the front. He's the captain. That's the only unique, well, other than Gothmog and Golfinball, I guess. He's one of the few unique orc characters on a warg. Again, I still need his foot version. And then while I've got this army out, oh, let me show you the list. I blacked out the points values on Google Drive. It's Ugluk, 5 scouts with shield, 3 Warg Riders with shield, and a scout with banner. It's Lurtz with 5 with shield and 3 Warg Riders with shield. Vrasku, that's the shooting warband. 2 scouts with bow, 2 scouts without shield, and 4 Warg Riders with bow. And then Maher in the same thing there. And I don't remember. I think all the Urk scouts are Marauders in this list. It's a pretty low model count, and then Sharku and 8 Warg Riders with spear and shield. It comes up to 46 models, 12 bows, 806 points. And it's a lot of fun to play. It's not a great army. It's not optimized, but it's really fun to throw down all these Warg Riders on the board and then have a bunch of, you know, Uruk-hai moving 8 inches. It's fun to play on, like, I don't know, on a objective game or something like that. So the 2 times I've played with this army, it didn't do very well, but it's a lot of fun. But wargs just get shot out from under the riders too often to make them that competitive, and they're really expensive for what they are. They should be closer in points to like a Haradrim Raider or something like that. Excuse me. And the one thing I do also is, you know, the metal ones will make a really nice orc tracker on a warg. It's actually cheaper to take an orc tracker on a warg, I think, than it is to take the, or I think it's the same points with better shoot value. An orc tracker with a warg is 11 points. I think those guys are 12. If you take them as regular orcs, or regular warg riders. But while I'm here, I also got out, because they were in the same tray, I got out my Nazgul. These are going to be really hard to get a good look at. Let me pause for a second. Here we go. I had to pause and readjust my my light here. You still can't really see them all that well. Let me try turning the backlight off. Maybe that'll make it a little better. There we go. Okay. Yeah. So there's the Nazgul. Again, I don't have all this unique sculpts, but I have the Witch King. And if I were to ever play with all of them, which is pretty unlikely, except in, you know, a scenario, I would just, you know, number them or put a sticker on the bottom of the base or something to keep track of who is who. But to paint those, I did I sprayed them gray, and then did 3 like really wickedly heavy washes of gnome oil, letting it dry in between to shade. And then I went back and dry brushed with Mechanicus Standard, and it's a pretty good effect. And I think the metal was 10 bits dry brushed with chainmail, and the leather is maybe, looks like Vermin Brown or like Bestial or something like that. And then of course over here I have my 4 Barrow Whites from Fog on the Barrow Downs, and these can be used with an Angmar army. I think Mortar can get them too. But they're pretty good. They have the Paralyze spell, which is pretty powerful, and I think they come with 6 will for 50 points. And they're not great in combat, but they have Spectral Blades. I think they're Strength 2, maybe. And they're high defense. So these are pretty cool. They're great models. They're a lot of fun to paint as well. I think I did the Games Workshop scheme where you wash them with Shadow Gray and then do some dry brushing. Focus a little more white around the face to kind of pick it out. And then the metal I did... I added green wash to the gold to make it look kind of like brassy, coppery, like really old. But painting spirits is fun because it's pretty easy to get good effects using different combinations of dry brushing and things like that. So that's all for the Isengard Hunters and some of these evil heroes. I'm gonna pause and come back with some good models, mostly Fellowship, and some old metal elves as well. So I'll be right back. I'm back with a bunch of good models, mostly Fellowship. I'll just kind of go left to right. First is Halbarad with the Banner of Arwen. It's not the one with the horn, unfortunately. And 2 Rangers of the North. Again, I picked those up off the same guy that painted my Boromir with the banner and things like that. They're just pretty models. Eventually I'll expand that little group. They do allow me to take a small Grey Company army if I feel like it, or at least a contingent to include in a larger army. I would just reuse the Rangers from my Gondor force. And here is Tom and Goldberry, which I've never really played with these. I just painted them. Again, there's a couple scenarios in the journey books that use them, along with the 4 paralyzed hobbits, which are great for objectives and all kinds of stuff. I guess technically you could play them as the hobbits if you wanted to be cheeky. It'd be really hard to shoot them because they're laying down, and they are official models. All of those right there came along in a box with the Barrow Whites when Shadow and Flame was released. And then here you have the 4 Hobbits and Aragorn from the Attack on Weathertop box, which was re-released recently. I got mine a long time ago. But the Aragorn's a really nice model. I might go back and, I don't know, maybe repaint it, just because I'm a little bit better now. And these 4 Hobbits were actually the first models I painted when I was first getting back into things when I started out my blog. And come a long way from this. There's some googly eyes on Frodo there. I really actually no longer paint eyes because of the scale that these models are sculpted in. You can't really see them most of the time, and it's too easy to mess up a really well done face. At least with my skills. Other people can do a great job with eyes. But moving on, I've got the Greater Fellowship here, right across the middle, and I kind of arranged it with original members, and then after Khazad-dûm over here on the right, sort of the breaking of the Fellowship. This is not the breaking of the Fellowship models, but that theme, I guess. You can see Legolas gets ditches his Mirkwood bow for a longer, more stout Galadrim bow made of Malorn wood. But all these original Fellowship models are really nice. I gave away a box of them in the song contest I hosted back around the holidays. But I mean, just really nice sculpts, really well done faces. A lot of them look like the actors, especially the hobbits. They look like, that looks like Billy Boyd and Don Monahan and, the other 2 guys, can't remember the name off the top of my head, Elijah Wood and Sean. There's Boromir, and then there's the mounted Fellowship Boromir, which is a great model. Allows you to do different things with Gondor armies too. Just to have that option to play a different style of Boromir. Here's his cloak. And of course Dead Boromir, which was a pretty fun one to paint. And I decided, back when I did these, I did the Elven Cloaks in gray. But if you look over here on these old Lorien elves, any future Elven Cloaks I'm going to do like this, which just starts off with a base of green. And they come out a lot better, in my opinion. They look more true to the film. But this is a small force. One of the scenarios in the Fellowship book requires 6 Lorien elves and Haldir. And I went ahead and painted Celeborn and Galadriel just because they're beautiful models, and Galadriel is my favorite character from the books and the movies, just because she's incredibly powerful. The movies don't do her justice. I guess they do in Battle of the 5 Armies when she banishes Sauron, or the Necromancer, from Dol Guldur. But she's incredibly powerful, and until then the movies didn't really do her justice. But these are the old Lorien elves in metal. Way less derpy than the plastic kit. The plastic kit is kind of messed up from what I've seen of people posting about it. This is Haldir and Lorien without the bow. I believe this was the first one that was released. But it's a nice. I really like the pose on that. There's Galadriel, and then back here is Glorfindel, my second favorite character. If you don't know, Glorfindel was featured in the Fall of Gondolin, and he actually helped Tuor and is it Tuor and Idril? I don't remember, but he helps a young Elendil escape Gondolin, and Elendil is the one who eventually defeats Morgoth during the War of Wrath from his ship. I think it's Vingalot is the name of the ship. I don't remember, but he has the Silmaril on his brow. But anyways, Glorfindel helps them flee the city while it's being destroyed, and he gets caught by a Balrog and ends up battling and falls to his death, much like Gandalf does later on. And Glorfindel was sent back by the Valar at one point to Middle-earth, and in the books, he's actually the one who rescues Frodo and takes him across the fords of Bruinen to Elrond's household, and he's one of the few who could ride openly against the Nine, and this model certainly makes it seem that way. He's an elf lord. I mean, he's, from the Second Age, but I'm not happy with that white cloak, but the rest of the model I think turned out pretty good. Here's the foot version. The face on this guy's a little wonky, but I also found out recently that Glorfindel was cast and appears in the 3 original movies. The one spot that's easy to see him is at the coronation of King Elisar. He's behind Legolas, in front of Arwen. He's like a slender-faced blonde guy. Doesn't look like this model at all, but they actually did cast him. And then, of course, here's Arwen, and Arwen with Frodo mounted. I always thought it would be funny to take a Frodo on a pony and just use this model. And then the foot one. This model has really nice detail. The proportions are kind of off. Like her head's huge and her waist is too small, but I think they do that for effect since it's meant for gaming. But this has some really sharp detail on the face, and so does this one. Actually looks more like Liv Tyler, I think. But yeah, that's these good models. Right, I think that's all. I might still showcase my orc army at some point. I just don't feel like getting all of it out. But this is the last of my painted stuff for now. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, just comment, like, share, subscribe. Make sure you're supporting the hobby and being positive and being a good ambassador for the Hobbit hobby. And see you guys in the next video. Thanks. Bye.